Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the TVM crew. Today, I'm so excited because I have with me Tobin Elliott. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very happy to have you here because you have very interesting things to explain to us today.
Well, I'll try.
Yes. First off, I would love for you to explain, to talk to me about your crafting masterpieces as a kid. I
um,
really want to hear about that.
are you talking about when I made the noose? Yeah, but and I have a dog here who's a bit of an attention hog.
He has
Um,
something to say too.
yeah, he always has something to say. Um, yeah, when I was a kid, I got really fascinated with like guillotines
Yeah.
and nooses and all sorts of stuff that way. So I learned how to tie a noose and I hung one off my balcony at the apartment that we lived in. I thought it was cool. I thought it was, I was walking home
Absolutely.
from school and I could see the noose hanging down. I even put some ketchup on it to make it bloody. It was cool. My mom didn't think so after the superintendent told her to take it down. And I made a little working guillotine out of
Yes.
popsicle sticks and a razor blade. I probably could have cut my finger off if I wanted to.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a grim kid, but
Yeah.
I
Making
had a
friends.
dark side. I had a dark side. Yes, yes, absolutely.
So you could focus on writing finally.
Yes, yes. I mean, I've always liked to write. Like even as a little kid, I like stories. But
Yeah.
I did have a couple of teachers that were very encouraging, and
Oh, great.
yeah, which helps. There's nothing better than that. In fact, I even had a teacher who,
Hmm.
when I was in grade 8, I wrote a story that she took and tried to have printed in the yearbook at the end of the year.
Oh,
Uh,
that's so nice.
well, she tried, but we were apparently about a week too late, so she just missed it. But that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I kind of forgot about it. Flash forward. Oh, okay, grade 8, I would have been 14. At least another 15 years because I was close to 30. She showed up. I was selling cameras at the time, and she happened to show up. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Mrs. Roberts.
Yes.
And she goes, you know what? I think I still have that story. And she came back a week later and still had my
Oh,
handwritten story. So I've still got it around here
that's
somewhere.
awesome.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
better keep
So,
it. It
yeah.
might be
Oh,
worth
absolutely.
millions.
It'd be at least worth 25 cents, at least.
You never know. You never know.
Never know.
And you have a lot of titles out there, right?
I've Yeah, I've been lucky. I've managed to get a lot of stories printed in anthologies over the past few years,
Yes.
and had some novellas published. And of course, now I'm pounding away on these six books
Yes.
of my own here. If you hear a big bang, it's because my dog drops a bone on the floor. So I'm trying to stop him from doing that.
It's okay. It's perfectly fine. We all love him. It's
Yeah.
okay.
So, well, his name's Murphy, and Murphy's Law. I don't know if you know that, but
Okay.
whatever can go wrong will go wrong. That's my dog.
Okay.
But yeah, so I've actually I kind of got serious about it. I guess around 2011, and I've been lucky enough to have something published almost every single year since then. So yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. What kind of horror do you write? What's your perfect reader?
It's funny because a lot of people, when they find out I write horror, they kind of get this sort of face.
Yes.
um, I don't like. I am not a fan of like a lot of gore. I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of slasher. Like Friday 13th and stuff like that doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah.
For me, it's more about the easiest way for me to describe it is it's about the dread. I want you, when you're reading something of mine, to recognize something in that character that resonates with you, so that you like them, or you
Yes.
feel connected to them, and then give you enough to know that something really bad is going to happen.
Yes.
So that, to me, that is horror. So that's what I tend to do. I mean, I write horror, so people are going to die, and
Yeah.
bad things are really going to happen. I
Everyone
mean,
dies.
you can have horror with somebody knitting a sweater or something like that. It's you got to have
Yes.
some.
Yes.
So yeah, so I mean, obviously I go there, but I do like to kind of build the dread.
Yes, I understand, because actually the psychological horror, because slasher and all of that, it's fun. It's just fun. But when you're alone in your house and you suddenly have that thought that makes you watch the door, you're not
Yeah,
thinking about zombies. You're thinking
exactly.
about a demon, about
Yeah.
something like that, that it's crawling, you know?
You're bang on. Like, the one that always stands up for me. This is the first time I was terrified reading a book, was
Yes.
when the woman was in the tub in The Shining, and little
Yes.
Danny Torrance is suddenly trying to get out of the room, and she got out of the tub.
Yeah, yeah.
That that's terrifying. That's
Yes.
absolutely terrifying. It's a character you don't want something bad to happen to. Just something really bad is happening to.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, actually, to me, what gets me the most when maybe more in movies, because they are more
Mhm.
visual than in books. In
Of
books,
course.
yes, it's different, the kind of horror that you feel.
Yeah.
Um, when there's a demon exorcism kind of movie, this kind of movies that the demon jumps from one person to the other, that
Yeah.
you never know if that person is the one that has and you're like staring at them, trying to
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
something that tells you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like The Thing, right? The
Yes,
movie The Thing too, where it's like who's bad and who's good. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly,
I love that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, and do you have found a spot in your heart for any of your books specifically?
There's hi.
Oh, dear.
There.
I'm going to take this as a cover of the with the dog here.
Seriously, yes, yeah. If you do, this is a hip bone.
Huge.
um, I have a short story that there's two short stories that I've written, one that's been published, one that is not, that I'm extremely proud of. But book wise, yeah, there's probably the one, quite honestly, the book was is just been released. The ebook actually comes out tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow,
Oh,
the hard copies. Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so this is the first one. This is the second one, and
They're
Bloodloss.
beautiful.
Yes, they are.
Oh,
This
they're
is the one
beautiful.
that comes out. The hard copy is out now. You can buy it. The ebook comes out tomorrow for it. But yeah, there's a soft spot in here for
Yes.
that one. It's got one of my favorite characters in it. She's a little kid, and she's it's even the editor, she says, oh, Sam is my favorite character, and a couple of people that have beta read the books, Sam's my favorite character. And I don't know what it is. I dig her, so I dig this story a lot.
Yes.
And there's werewolves in it, so that helps. But
And
yeah, it's funny because I'll glom onto different things. Like this one,
yes.
it's really a character that grabs me. In the two short stories that I wrote, it's more, they're just, the reason they're my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
One is actually based on some rough experiences I had when I was growing up. Without going into a lot of detail, but my father was a terrible alcoholic, and
Oh,
it's spun out from there. I am also a guy who not only writes like I want you to feel dread,
yes,
but I also really do think there is as much horror in real life as there
absolutely.
is in vampires and werewolves and everything else. So that's the other side. Like, you asked somebody, I think, what they're most scared of. They're not going to say vampires. They're going to
No,
say,
absolutely.
losing my husband, losing my child,
Yes.
getting cancer, something like that. So that to me is another element of horror, and I like to build that in. So there's times where I've plucked from my own life, I've plucked from people I know, that sort of thing, with their permission. But you know what? There's a lot of horrible things, and if I can take those, weave them into a story, and then write an ending to it, whether it's a good ending or it's not a good ending, either way, for me, that is my way of controlling the demons. That's
Yes.
that's my way of kind of grabbing on to the God. No, you're not going
Yes.
to do anything. I'm going to do it for you, sort of thing. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yes. Well, actually, horror, you can look at it like a way of facing your demons or your
very
fears.
much.
It's a way
Yes,
out, right?
it
I
is.
think that that's why the horror community is so embracing and so game for everything,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we're very open people. There's no taboos, no boundaries. It's like the
yeah,
most horrible
yeah.
things are written in this book. So, you know,
Exactly.
yes,
It can't get worse than that.
exactly.
But
There's
no,
nothing left.
yeah, yeah. No,
So,
you're not wrong though. You're not
ex
wrong. I completely agree. And I do find that the horror
yes.
community seems to be very embracing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And working with them, everyone is so excited about
Mhm.
everything. And yes, yes. And what you say, it's 100% true. It's like, for example, my kid, that because I draw and my drawings are not, I mean, they are quite, yes. So she's been seeing it. She's 9 now. And she's
Right.
seen them always, my drawings. So she
Mhm.
started drawing, and she draws monsters, but not like the fluffy pink bubbly monster. No, no,
No,
no.
no, no, no.
Monsters with hanging eyes and brains and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So I said, well, first off, don't draw this at the school. I don't want to be called.
yeah.
But then the thing is that I had a couple people telling me like, but do you think this is okay for her mind and all of that? Yeah, it's perfectly fine because I can explain to her that that is fiction. I can say
Yes,
this doesn't exist. What is
yes,
terrifying is if she watches the news and she sees all the wars, the
yeah,
murdered women,
yeah,
kids kidnapped. How am I going to explain to her that that's not fiction? It
yeah,
actually happens. She would
yeah.
never get out of her bed.
Yeah, that's the real terrifying stuff. It's funny. My this is the joke in my family. My wife reads true crime. She loves true crime. I don't know if there's a serial killer out there that she doesn't know about. And when we get into an argument, she goes, "I can hide your body and they'll never find you."
Yes, I
However,
know how to do it.
yeah, exactly. But the thing that kills me is she says, "I don't know how you can read horror," and I'm like, because my stuff mostly came from
Yes,
here. Your stuff really happened. Which one is the more terrible of the two? know? So it's
exactly.
sort of thing. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. There's all these videos going around on TikTok that it's normally women, because I don't know what is with that, but women used to love the psychopath documentaries
Right?
and the murder, right? It is
Seriously.
something. I think,
Yes.
yeah, we are the like my grandfather used to say that men use knives and women use poison. You know, that's the because we are more cold and calculating
Yeah. Yeah.
when
Yeah.
we're not going to explode in that moment, but we're gonna like plot the revenge for years. So
Women are definitely more scary, and that's why, honestly, in 5 of the 6 books that I'm putting out,
yes,
women take the front stage.
right. That's why I don't argue with my wife.
Exactly.
There's all these videos of a woman watching a horror movie like, It's
Yeah.
like this, and then watching the murder documentary, like devouring the popcorn and
Yeah.
super
Yeah. Yeah.
excited about it. So I
It's
feel your
terrifying.
wife, yes.
Oh, jeez. So yeah.
Okay, then tell me, because you have a wide experience writing, um,
Mhm.
how do you build your stories? When you have an idea to make a story or whatever, do you just go with the flow and it goes wherever it wants? Or do you have already in your mind the structure or where is it going to lead?
Yes to both.
Okay.
So here's
Okay.
I uh, so I used to teach creative writing too, and for me, I guess technically what's called a plotter. Um,
Okay.
I've always looked at writing a story as so I am way up here in Canada, and I'm going to drive down to Disney World in Florida, so I have to know where I'm going, and
Yes.
I know where I'm leaving from, and I have to know some stops along the way. You know, we're going to stop here, we're going to stop there and eat and whatever. So it's the same with my writing. I need to know the beginning, I need to know the end, and I need to know some stops along the way.
Okay.
So when I write, honestly, I tend to have as few as five and as many as 20 bullet points of what I know about the
Mm,
story. I mean, over the course of 100,000 words or whatever, there is a lot to be filled in there.
yes.
And so that's where I trust myself and the process and the characters to kind of come in and go, I know you were thinking of doing that, Tobin, but no, this is the way we're going to go. We're still going to get to where you need to get, but we're going to go this way.
Yes.
Um, there's without revealing anything.
Mhm.
In the last book, I have a character who's very damaged, um, and she's the focus of the main book, and I didn't think when I finished the book, I didn't think I had um, expressed enough of some of the trauma she had gone through.
Yeah.
So I went back the next day and I was like, okay, I'm just going to put in this small little piece. And I knew basically where I was going with it. And so I started writing it. And this is exactly what I mean. I
Yes.
knew where I was going, but then there's a point where the story just takes over, and it took over. And I ended up writing something that disturbed the hell out of me,
Okay.
to the point where I'm not kidding. Without exaggeration, I was actually tearing up as I was writing it,
Yes.
and I was experiencing the story as it was coming out of my hands into the computer.
Yes.
It was a bizarre experience. So, but
That's
I trust it,
wow.
and it works. So I know a lot, but I don't know everything, and I discovered along the way, which is it's also a fun way to write a story because
Yes.
you're sort of experiencing that story before anybody else. It's really cool.
Yes. Well, and if it has that effect on you, it will on the reader too. I mean,
Yeah, hopefully.
right? If it's at some point it's surprising to you,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
have you ever had a different ending of a book, like the final ending that you
yes,
expected?
yes,
Yes?
yes. Um, this one, actually, the second book, Out
The
for Blood.
second one.
Yeah, I knew exactly how it was going to end.
Yeah.
Exactly. Same sort of thing. I'm typing it and it's like, okay, so here's the way it goes. A, B, C. I got A. I got B. C never came
Never
because
came.
the monster was smarter than the solution. And then I was like, now what do I do? Now I got to come up with a whole new ending. Uh, and in the ending was better. So that original ending, it does start, but it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
it doesn't work out for the guys in the story. So it's just one more attempt along the way. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's happened too. Yeah.
Yes. Now that you were saying this while you're right, that you feel these things, what I found when I draw is that when I'm drawing someone that has like a it's very upset, or it's like
Mhm.
it's a very intense phase, I find myself doing that phase. I mean,
Yeah,
yes, like
yeah,
I'm drawing like this.
yeah, yeah.
And
I used to draw. I did exactly the same thing.
right, and it's
Yeah,
fascinating to think
yeah.
how you can, right, synchronize with what you're
Hmm.
doing. And I guess that that's what art does in any
Yeah,
and in a form or shape, even if it's writing or music or drawing.
yeah.
So
You're feeling it. You're feeling it, and
yes,
that's a good thing, because and this is what I've always said about my anybody reading my books. I truly don't mind a bad review. I really don't.
yeah,
Um, what bothers me worse is just kind of I want you to feel
yeah,
something.
yeah.
You can love it, you can hate it. Just don't.
At least hate it.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens a lot
I
in horror, because sometimes you see reviews that they are, "Ah!"
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
It's great.
No,
Buy
well,
it.
funny enough, I had actually had somebody who they had said, okay, yeah, I'll start reading them, I'll review them, and then they got to a specific scene in the first book, and they messaged me. Oh, now you want to play? And they messaged me, and they actually said, okay, so I read this scene, and I don't think I can go on,
Yeah.
and I'm really sorry. And I said, no problem. I get it. And don't be sorry. I wrote a horror novel. I horrified
Exactly.
you. I
That's
horrified you.
great.
I won. I win. I win. So
Exactly. Actually, if they did they write a review? Because that would be
no,
an amazing, that would be an
yeah,
amazing
they
review.
ultimately, I know, but they ultimately they didn't even finish the book, so they got roughly about halfway through.
Ah,
Yeah. So,
yes.
but you know what? That's okay. Like I said, for me, and I don't think this is said enough. Everybody thinks, oh, everybody has to love this book or whatever.
Yes.
No, it's art. Some people love it, some people don't. Just like some people love the Mona Lisa, some people don't. Whatever.
Yes.
But for me, like I said, I just want you to have some sort of reaction to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yes. I think that there are people that they review, but they really shouldn't. Like, yes, because I think that sometimes they are very unfair. Like, I read a lot of horror books that they
Mm-hmm.
send me all of this. And of course I don't like all of, I mean, I don't
No.
hate, but not all of them. I don't love all of them.
Yeah. No, for sure.
But there's always something good to say. Like this kind of reviews that, huh, not my cup of tea. Then why did you
Yeah.
read it? I mean, you cannot give a 1-star review because it's not your cup of tea. Then just drop it and take your cup of tea, because you're leaving a bad review to something that
Yeah.
you're not going to like.
Yeah.
It's like if I take a romance book and I say, no, my cup of tea. Of course it's not. Why did you take it? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that, for example, for me, there are books that there's all this warning, trigger warning, very
Yeah.
extreme horror, and I read
Yeah.
it, and oh,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
watching The Evil Dead, like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun, but it's
Yeah.
not. But I'm not going to say a meh review. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, to me, it
Hmm.
wasn't as impacting, but I see this, I see this, I see
Yeah.
this, and I can see this
Yeah.
effort and this effort and this effort. So all these
Yeah.
awful reviews, sometimes I think that not writing a book is so much work that no one deserves, to be like, I don't know, like,
Here's my take on it.
I don't
So I spend whatever, X amount of time writing a book and
know.
getting it out in
Yes.
the world. Great. But if you come along and you spend 20, $30, whatever it is, on that book
Yeah.
and invest the time in reading it, as far as I'm concerned, you've paid for the opportunity to express your opinion as well. I mean,
Yeah, but
now having said that, yes, I mean, I like many genres. I love science fiction. I love horror. I love mysteries. I love, but I don't like romance. I'm not a big fan of Westerns. So
yeah.
if I pick up a romance book, and then slag it. Well, you're like you said, I'm being an idiot because I don't like romance. Why am I
Yes,
reading romance? Sort of
exactly.
thing. Yeah. But if I love horror and I just finished recently reading a horror novel that really wasn't horror at all. It truly wasn't horror. There was nothing scary in it at all.
Yeah.
I won't say what it is. I won't reveal. But it was like, what the heck was this?
It's badly
So,
sorted. Should be fantasy.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, that's an issue, a common issue, because sometimes they say dark fantasy, horror. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Science fiction. I know I have this argument with a friend of mine. It's like, is Alien and Aliens
yes.
horror or science fiction? No, it's both. It's both.
Yes. Yes,
But
the
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yes, I think that with science fiction, it matches better
yeah.
because aliens can be terrifying, robots can be terrifying. So really, you can make a good mix there.
Yeah,
I think
you
that
can.
as long as it's horrifying or it really gets to your fears, then okay.
Yeah,
But if it doesn't provoke any of that in you,
yeah. That's meh,
yes,
right?
man,
That's the and
yes,
that's what I don't want. Yeah.
exactly. And sometimes I've seen people like wanting to step on these three genres, like to have a wider audience. But I
Mhm.
never recommend that because you're gonna have a snowball of bad reviews from the people who expect horror and doesn't have horror, or expect dark fantasy and it's horror. You know,
Yeah,
mm,
yeah.
I don't know. It's
It's
complicated.
it depends on what the mix is and things like that too. I'll be honest. I have a niece who writes. Um, the technical term is paranormal romance. They are very
Paranormal romance.
yeah. So you're going to have your angels and demons and werewolves and vampires,
Okay. Like
but you're
Twilight,
also going,
this kind
to
of.
have some exceptionally well with my niece. Brooklyn Cross is her name, and she's
Yes.
very popular. Um, but she writes very explicit sex scenes as well, like very
Okay.
explicit, which makes it very awkward for an uncle trying to read them.
Yes, I was thinking the same.
But and again, I mean, but the whole thing with I know, right? But the whole thing with her
Censor
is
that for me, please.
she really does push more of the romance and less of the paranormals. I mean, it's her take on it. She does it well. So
Yes.
I mean, I can't say don't straddle those two lines because you're straddling those two lines very well, and she's
Yes.
building a fantastic audience. So there's times where with the right touch, I think you can do it. But like Western and horror, I think is fun too. I've read some
Yes.
really cool Western horrors. Now I have to write a Western horror erotica, I guess. Have to try that.
Also because the Western is like placed in an older age. So it's
Yeah,
also
but the
this
same
kind of.
stuff can still happen, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Well, she will have a lot of audience then, because
She does. Yeah,
since Twilight and all of that,
yeah.
the well,
Yeah,
it,
she writes book series, and I couldn't tell you the title of which one it was. It escapes me right now. But her last one that she released on Amazon, it debuted at #1, so she's doing well. She is
right?
actually doing.
There's a lot of audience for that.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a lot
I
of
mean,
people looking for a hug. Eh?
more than looking for horror, apparently.
Absolutely. Well, it has merit to do that, because
Yeah.
I mean you need a great imagination for horror, but it's like something that it comes from within, like all the
Yeah.
disturbing things you have in your mind.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for this kind of paranormal romance, you really need to have a great imagination. you know.
She's got a good imagination for a lot of the aspects of it, to be quite honest, without going into detail. She's gonna kill me for this.
We're going to tag her. Give me her
Okay,
handles.
do it. I will will send it to you.
She will complain. You're not telling the titles.
Brooklyn Cross. That's all you need to know.
Okay. And coming back to horror now.
Yes. Yes, please.
Now I'm.
Yeah, right. If anybody's going to derail you, it's going to be me.
Where do you think horror is going from now on? Like now with all the social media, all the independent authors, everything is changing. The underground filmmakers that are having a bite on the streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see the evolution of horror?
Well, you know what? Hold on a second. My dog is about to pull the stuff over. There we are. Okay. Never do an interview with your dog in the room. So where's horror going? That's, you know what? That's a big question, because there's the stuff on Netflix, the Haunting of Hill House and all of Flanagan's stories that he's doing. And apparently now he's taking on Dark Tower. There's also, I'm noticing a trend for some authors to really go more, I guess, explicit, more gore. Again, nothing wrong with it. I'm just not a big fan of it myself. But where's horror going? Honestly, I think there's no real rules. I think it's almost like, to me, it feels a bit like a punk movement, like they're kind of sick of the stuff that's come before. So let's throw all the rules out the window and just do whatever scares the crap out of me. I'm going to write it, sort of thing. And whether that is body horror or, some weird perversions or whatever. And that's cool, because it'll lead to whatever's next. I just, for me, I that's what I like about horror, is there's so many different angles to it. I mean, you can go very soft with, if you can count Twilight as horror, but I mean, they got werewolves and they got vampires, so it's sort of in that genre a little bit. But right up to things like and I don't know if you've read Jack Ketchum at all, but the thing that impressed me with Jack Ketchum was that his books were horror. And with the exception of one novel, there was no supernatural elements in it at all. All of the horror came from real people. And his books were terrifying. They're absolutely terrifying. The Girl Next Door was a life-changing book for me. It really made me kind of take a look at what I'm doing, going, dude, you're playing a little too safe. You gotta take some more risks. And I did. So my point here is, horror can be so many different things, because there's so many different ways to instill fear or instill dread or instill terror on somebody else. And there's so many different ways that we like to be scared. Some people love roller coasters, some people hate them, some people like horror movies, some people hate them, whatever it may be. So where's horror going? Like I said, it feels like the rules are kind of being stripped away, and it's just kind of go do what makes you go go crazy, and go from there. And so I don't have that's probably a very vague, pathetic answer, but that's kind of where I see things going right now. Is just it's cool. I won't read all of it because I know I won't like some of it, but
of course, there's too much.
I applaud the fact that people are taking chances. My dog is trying to talk now.
Okay, and before we wrap up, where can people find you? Where can readers find you?
Almost anywhere. So no, seriously, my books are on Amazon. But they are also in all the major bookstores, Waterstones and Barnes and Noble and Chapters Indigo in Canada, and
Okay.
Basically, yeah. If you search Tobin Elliot, you're gonna find my books. It's Elliot with 2 L's and 2 T's, so everybody drops the last T for some reason. But
We'll link everything below.
yes. So, and
Okay,
that's the
well,
thing. And on my social media, so on my Twitter page or on my Instagram page or on my Facebook page, and yeah, sure, find me, follow
okay.
me. That's cool. But I have a link tree, and it links to every book, and
Okay,
they
awesome.
are universal links, so they offer up all of the different choices. So
Okay.
I'm kind of everywhere.
So then we need to wrap up. Thank you so, so, so much for your time today with me. It's been so fun.
No problem. Sorry I derailed a couple of times there, but that's okay. It was a good conversation.